Pause for a moment and reflect on the biggest goal in your life right now. Whether it's climbing the corporate ladder, starting your dream business, building the perfect relationship, creating a lasting legacy, or transforming your fitness and health. The thought of achieving it feels exciting, yet the reality is that not every plan unfolds as intended. Promotions can go to someone else, businesses can fail, relationships can falter, fitness progress can plateau or regress, legacies may fade into obscurity. We often tie our worth, happiness, and identity to the outcomes we achieve, but this belief doesn't have to define us. There is another way to live, one that frees us from the relentless pressure of expectations, allowing us to find peace and purpose no matter what life brings. This is the way of the Stoics. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus not on the outcome, but on the effort. It shifts attention away from the destination and toward the journey. For over 2,000 years, this mindset has guided warriors, emperors, and visionaries, offering timeless wisdom that is perhaps more relevant now than ever. The truth is that much of what we strive for lies outside our control. Even with hard work and the best intentions, success isn't guaranteed. If happiness depends solely on outcomes beyond our influence, we set ourselves up for frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. The Stoics present a profound alternative: direct attention to what can be controlled. This includes the effort invested, the actions taken, and the way we choose to show up each day. By embracing this perspective, fear diminishes, joy emerges in the present moment, and resilience takes root. A meaningful life becomes possible, independent of external results. Living this way requires releasing the grip on outcomes and embracing a mindset that values the process. The process is not just part of the journey, it is the journey. This timeless wisdom empowers us to navigate life with clarity, strength, and fulfillment. Section 1. The illusion of control and the burden of expectations. Imagine this: after months or years of tireless work chasing a dream, sacrificing sleep, time with loved ones, and moments of joy for the promise of a brighter future, the big day arrives. Instead of the success you envisioned, there's disappointment. The promotion goes to someone else. The investor declines. The person you love doesn't reciprocate. The feeling is crushing, unfair, like the universe has conspired against you. Many of us have been in this place, responding with blame, blaming ourselves, others, or the world. At the heart of this reaction is the belief that we should have been able to control the outcome. This belief that results are within our control is the root of much suffering. It amplifies the pain of failure and makes success fleeting. Yet, it's an illusion. The ancient Stoics understood this deeply. They saw the attempt to control the uncontrollable as one of life's greatest sources of misery. Human beings constantly try to manage everything: the way others perceive us, the results of our work, the circumstances of our lives. With meticulous plans and relentless effort, we strive to shape reality to fit our will. But life, in its essence, is unpredictable. Markets crash, relationships end, and storms destroy. No amount of effort can alter these facts. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This principle lies at the heart of Stoicism. Peace arises not from controlling the external world, but from mastering the internal response to it. Even if complete control were possible, it wouldn't guarantee happiness. Imagine having everything you've ever desired: the ideal job, the perfect partner, the flawless life. It wouldn't be long before the yearning for something more takes hold. This endless pursuit is why results-oriented thinking is a trap, keeping people in a perpetual state of longing, always chasing and never arriving. There is another way, Shifting focus from outcomes to effort changes the dynamic entirely. Success becomes about full engagement with the process rather than achieving a specific result. This approach, rooted in Stoic philosophy, offers freedom from the weight of expectations and the illusion of control. It transforms how we live, replacing the endless chase with presence and purpose. By shifting your focus from results to process, you redefine success. Success is no longer about winning or losing, achieving or failing. It's about showing up. It's about doing the work, regardless of the outcome. It's about finding meaning and purpose in the act itself. So, before we move on, I want you to pause and ask yourself, how much of my stress, my frustration, my disappointment comes from trying to control things that are beyond my reach? And what would happen if I let go of that need for control? The answer could change everything. Section 2. The problem with results-oriented thinking. We live in a world obsessed with results. From an early age, achievement is tied to outcomes. In school, it's grades. In sports, it's trophies. In careers, it's promotions and paychecks. Even in personal life, success is often measured by milestones like buying a house, getting married, or having children. This way of thinking ties happiness and self-worth to factors outside our control. For instance, years of hard work in a job, sacrificing weekends and pouring heart and soul into tasks, can still leave recognition or promotions out of reach due to variables like office politics, a boss's disposition, or the company's financial health. When these outcomes don't materialize, it's easy to feel like a failure. A fixation on results creates a mental trap, tethering our sense of achievement to fleeting and unreliable external validation. Winning brings a temporary high, but the need for the next goal or validation quickly takes over. Losing, on the other hand, can feel devastating, undermining confidence and motivation. This relentless focus on results makes self-worth fragile, fostering anxiety and paralyzing fear of failure. The result-oriented mindset turns opportunities for growth into sources of stress, often preventing new endeavors from even starting. Results, by their nature, are unpredictable. Despite hard work, countless external factors like timing and luck can determine success. The Stoics recognized this long ago, emphasizing that anchoring happiness to outcomes is like tying a boat to a storm, leaving one vulnerable to uncontrollable forces. Yet society continues to prioritize results because they're visible and measurable. A gold medal, a corner office, or a luxury car is easy to display, whereas the effort, discipline, and growth behind them remain invisible and undervalued. Social media amplifies this dynamic, presenting curated highlight reels of success, promotions, achievements, and vacations, while obscuring the struggles, late nights, and sacrifices behind them. This fosters the illusion that results are all that matter, leaving many feeling inadequate when they don't measure up. A life centered on results becomes an endless chase, perpetually seeking more success, recognition, or validation. Satisfaction becomes elusive, like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus pointed out that happiness lies not in external outcomes, but in our response to them. Results are external, the process is internal. Shifting focus from outcomes to the process allows us to reclaim agency, emphasizing our actions over circumstances. Process-oriented thinking brings joy and meaning to the journey itself. Obsession with outcomes blinds us to small victories, skills gained, lessons learned, and moments of growth. An artist immersed in painting finds fulfillment in the act of creation, not merely in how the finished piece will be received. Similarly, in any endeavor, whether building a business, training for a marathon, or striving for personal growth, the process is where the richness of life unfolds. Focusing on the process rather than the result leads to a life of greater peace, joy, and growth. Letting go of the constant pursuit of external validation opens the door to a deeper and more lasting fulfillment found in the journey itself. Section 3. Introducing the Stoic perspective. Let's step into the mind of a Stoic. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves crash and churn, indifferent to your presence. You can't calm the sea or predict its next move, but what you can control is how you respond, whether you brace against the tide, learn to swim, or build a boat. This is the essence of Stoicism. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending life is easy. It's about recognizing that most of life's outcomes, the tides and tempests of existence, are beyond your control. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from focusing on what you can control and releasing everything else. Remember, Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about that. Your mind, your thoughts, your choices, your effort is entirely within your domain. But external events, they're as unpredictable as the sea. To the Stoics, trying to control them is not just futile, it's the source of most human suffering. So, what does this mean in practice? It means shifting your attention inward. Instead of obsessing over whether your boss will approve of your work, focus on producing work that you're proud of. Instead of worrying about whether your partner will say, "I love you," focus on being the kind of person who deserves love. It's not a passive resignation to fate, it's an active commitment to excellence in the only place it matters, your own actions. Let's break this down further. The Stoics divided life into two categories: what is within our control. This includes our thoughts, choices, actions, and attitudes. What is outside our control. This includes other people's opinions, external circumstances, and even the ultimate outcomes of our efforts. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical voices, put it bluntly: "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." His message was clear: spend your energy on what you can influence, and don't waste a single moment on what you cannot. Think about how revolutionary this idea is. We spend so much of our lives agonizing over things we can't control. Will I get the job? Will people like me? Will my investments pay off? The Stoics remind us that this is a distraction. Every second you spend worrying about outcomes is a second you're not investing in the process. And here's the irony: when you focus on the process, on what you can control, you often achieve better results. Why? Because you're not paralyzed by fear or distracted by anxiety. You're fully present, fully engaged, and fully committed to giving your best effort. But let me be clear. Stoicism isn't about guaranteeing success. It's not a formula for achieving your goals. It's a framework for living well, no matter what happens. The Stoics didn't promise happiness through victory. They promised peace through perspective. This is the Stoic perspective. Control the controllable, release the uncontrollable, and find joy in the effort itself, regardless of the outcome. It's a radical way to live, especially in a world that constantly tells us to measure our worth by our results. But once you embrace this mindset, you'll discover a profound sense of freedom. The freedom to try, the freedom to fail, and the freedom to find meaning, not in what you achieve, but in how you strive. Section 4. The freedom of process. Picture you're an archer standing in a vast field. The air is still, your bow drawn, your eyes fixed on the target. You've spent years mastering your form, your breathing, and your aim. But as the arrow leaves your hand, you realize something profound. What happens next is no longer in your control. The wind might shift, the target might move, or maybe, through no fault of your own, the arrow misses its mark. To most people, this would feel like failure. But to a Stoic, the act of aiming and releasing the arrow is the success. The process, your preparation, your discipline, Your presence in that moment is where true mastery lies. This simple analogy captures the heart of Stoicism, the liberation that comes from focusing on the process instead of the results. Think about it. How much of your life is spent worrying about things you can't control? The results of an exam, the opinion of a colleague, the outcome of a risky decision. The truth is, no amount of worry, stress, or effort can guarantee the result you want. Outcomes are influenced by countless factors beyond your grasp: the economy, other people's choices, even random chance. But here's the good news: the process, that's yours. Entirely, completely yours. When you embrace this truth, you're no longer shackled by the fear of failure or the need for validation. You can put your energy where it truly matters, on the effort, the preparation, the craft. This mindset is profoundly liberating. Imagine running a race. If your only goal is to win, every step will feel like a judgment. Am I fast enough? Will I make it? The pressure builds with every stride, and the joy of running vanishes. But if you focus on the process, your form, your breath, the rhythm of your feet hitting the ground, you enter a state of flow. Winning or losing becomes secondary. The act of running itself becomes the reward. This is the freedom of process, living fully in the moment, free from the chains of future outcomes. It's not about lowering your standards or giving up on ambition. It's about channeling your ambition into what you can control. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't be overheard complaining about life, not even to yourself." Why? Because the process is where life happens. When you focus on the process, failure loses its sting. Did your project at work get rejected? If you pour your heart into the effort, that's success. Did you fall short in a competition? If you gave it your all, that's success. The process can never be taken from you. It's yours, and it's sacred. And here's the most ironic part. When you truly commit to the process, the results often take care of themselves. Excellence in effort tends to lead to success in outcomes. But by then, you've shifted your mindset so profoundly that the results no longer define you. This is the ultimate freedom: to live fully in the present, to give your best without attachment, to find joy, meaning, and fulfillment, not in what you achieve, but in how you strive. The process is not a consolation prize, it's the prize itself. And once you realize this, everything changes. Section 5. Excellence in action. Work is one of the most defining aspects of our lives. It gives us purpose, structure, and often a sense of identity. But in a world driven by competition, metrics, and constant comparisons, work can also become a source of relentless pressure. Too often, we fall into the trap of measuring success by the outcomes. Did I get the promotion? Was my project recognized? Did I hit my sales target? The Stoics offer a radically different perspective. They remind us that the true value of work lies not in the results, but in the effort we put into it. Epictetus said, "Do not wish for things to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go on well." What he meant is that our job is not to dictate outcomes, but to fully commit to the process of doing our work well. Imagine you're working on an important presentation. A results-focused mindset would have you obsessing over whether your boss will approve it or if it will lead to a promotion. You might overanalyze every detail, driven by fear of failure or rejection. This kind of pressure can paralyze you or lead to burnout. Now, contrast this with a process-focused mindset. In this approach, you channel your energy into crafting the best presentation you're capable of. You research thoroughly, organize your ideas clearly, and rehearse diligently. You're not worrying about what your boss will think, because that's beyond your control. Your only concern is giving your best effort. This shift doesn't just reduce stress, it improves your performance. When you're focused on the process, you're more present, creative, and resilient. Ironically, this often leads to better results, but by then, you'll realize that the results were never the point. When you focus on the process, work becomes a source of fulfillment rather than stress. You start to see each task, no matter how small, as an opportunity to practice excellence. Writing an email isn't just a mundane task, it's a chance to communicate clearly and thoughtfully. Attending a meeting isn't just an obligation, it's an opportunity to listen, contribute, and learn. The Stoics believed that no work was beneath us if it was done with care and integrity. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote in his Meditations, "If something is worth doing, do it with all your heart." Even as emperor, he saw value in approaching every task, whether leading an army or writing a letter, with full attention and effort. Of course, work is rarely smooth sailing. Projects fail, clients leave, and sometimes, despite your best efforts, you don't achieve the outcome you hoped for. This is where the Stoic mindset truly shines. The Stoics teach us to view setbacks not as failures, but as part of the process. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Each challenge at work, whether it's a missed deadline, a tough critique, or an unforeseen obstacle, is an opportunity to grow. It's a chance to practice patience, adaptability, and perseverance. When you let go of results and focus on the process, you become less attached to the idea of success and failure. You begin to see every moment as a stepping stone toward mastery. The satisfaction lies not in reaching the top of the mountain, but in the climb itself. Ultimately, a Stoic approach to work allows you to create a legacy that isn't tied to fleeting achievements, but to the consistent effort you put into everything you do. People may not remember the results of your work, but they'll remember your dedication, your integrity, and your pursuit of excellence. Every email, every report, every conversation becomes a reflection of your character. And when you focus on doing each of these with care, you transform work from a source of stress into a daily practice of virtue. So, ask yourself, how can I approach my work today with a process-oriented mindset? How can I pour my energy into the process and let go of the outcome? The answers to these questions will not only change how you work, they'll change how you live. Section 6. Cultivating relationships through process of virtue. Relationships are some of life's greatest joys, but they're also some of its greatest sources of pain. Why? Because most of us approach relationships with expectations. Expectations of how the other person should behave, how they should respond, and what they should give us in return. This mindset places the focus on outcomes, which, as the Stoics teach, are outside our control. Let's take a closer look. You reach out to a friend in need, offering them support and kindness, but they don't reciprocate. You open your heart to a partner, only to find they don't respond the way you hoped. When this happens, it's easy to feel hurt, frustrated, or even betrayed. But if you view relationships through the Stoic lens, you'll see that the only thing within your control is how you show up. Epictetus said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In relationships, this means deciding to embody virtues like patience, compassion, honesty, and respect, regardless of how others act. You can't control whether your kindness is met with gratitude or indifference, but you can control the choice to act kindly. This shift in perspective transforms how we approach relationships. It removes the transactional mindset, "I'll love you if you love me back," and replaces it with a focus on character. By prioritizing your own virtues, you cultivate relationships that are rooted in authenticity, not conditionality. Now let's go deeper. Imagine a relationship that's struggling. Perhaps there's tension or distance. A results-oriented mindset would focus on fixing the problem, on getting the other person to change or respond differently. But the Stoic approach is different. Instead of trying to control the outcome, focus on the process. Listen more deeply, communicate more clearly, and show up consistently. Even if the relationship doesn't improve in the way you hope, you can take comfort in knowing you acted with integrity. And sometimes, when we let go of controlling the outcome, the relationship grows in unexpected ways. The beauty of this approach is that it works in all types of relationships: romantic partnerships, friendships, family bonds, and even professional connections. In every interaction, ask yourself, am I acting with virtue? Am I showing patience, kindness, and honesty? These questions bring the focus back to what you can control and help you navigate relationships with grace and resilience. In the end, Stoicism doesn't promise perfect relationships. What it offers is something deeper: the ability to bring your best self to every connection, and the peace of knowing that you've done your part, no matter the outcome. That is the foundation of meaningful, fulfilling relationships. Section 7. The danger of over-attachment to outcomes. Why does failure terrify us? Why do so many of us tie our self-worth, happiness, and sense of identity to achieving a specific outcome? The truth is that our fixation on results blinds us to a fundamental reality. No matter how much we prepare, we cannot guarantee success. And yet, we continue to obsess over outcomes, hoping that by doing so, we can exert some control over the uncontrollable. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned us of this trap, saying, "He who indulges empty fears earns himself real fears." Think about that for a moment. When we allow our happiness to depend on external results, we live in a constant state of anxiety, worrying about things that are, by nature, beyond our control. The fear of failure becomes a constant companion, whispering in our ear, fueling our doubt, and eroding our confidence. Consider this example. You're preparing for a job interview. You rehearse your answers, dress your best, and arrive early. You've done everything within your power. But what happens if you don't get the job? Perhaps the interviewer was biased, or maybe there was a more qualified candidate. Whatever the reason, the outcome was never entirely in your hands. If your happiness was tied to landing the job, the rejection feels devastating, like a personal failure. But was it truly a failure, or was it simply a result of circumstances outside your control? The Stoics would tell us that this kind of over-attachment to outcomes is the root of unnecessary suffering. When we focus solely on results, we place our peace of mind in the hands of external forces, forces we cannot predict, influence, or master. It's like building a house on shifting sand. No matter how much effort we put into construction, the foundation is unstable. Now let's look deeper into the consequences of this mindset. Over-attachment to outcomes doesn't just bring anxiety, it also distorts our decision-making. Instead of acting with integrity and focusing on what is right, we're tempted to cut corners, manipulate situations, or compromise our values, all in the desperate hope of achieving the desired result. In doing so, we stray from the very virtues that Stoicism teaches us to cultivate: courage, wisdom, justice, and self-control. But what's the alternative? The Stoics invite us to shift our perspective. Instead of anchoring our happiness to results, we anchor it to effort. When we focus on doing our best, on acting with intention, discipline, and virtue, we reclaim our peace of mind. We recognize that while we cannot control the outcomes, we can always control how we approach the challenge. And in that control lies true freedom. Seneca also wrote, "A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not." This is not resignation, it's empowerment. It's the realization that outcomes are fleeting, but the effort we put into the process is enduring. It shapes who we are, builds our character, and strengthens our resolve. Think about the greatest lessons you've learned in life. Did they come from your successes, or did they arise from moments of failure, struggle, and disappointment? When we detach from results, we start to see failure not as the end, but as a vital part of the journey. Each setback becomes a teacher, each misstep a guide pointing us toward growth. The danger of over-attachment to outcomes is that it blinds us to the beauty of the present moment. We become so consumed by the future, by the what-ifs and the what-could-bes, that we forget to appreciate the here and now. By focusing on the process, the effort, and the actions within our control, we free ourselves from this trap. We find joy not in what we achieve, but in how we strive. So let go of the need to control the uncontrollable. Let go of the fear of failure, the weight of expectation, and the illusion that your worth is tied to results. When you do, you'll discover a life that is lighter, freer, and infinitely more fulfilling. Section 8. The role of failure in the process. Let's talk about failure. It's a word that sends chills down most people's spines. Failure is often seen as the ultimate enemy, a sign that we've fallen short, that we're not good enough. But the Stoics saw failure in a completely different light. To them, failure wasn't the end of the road, it was the road itself. Imagine a sculptor chiseling a block of marble. Every strike of the hammer is part of the process. But not every strike reveals beauty immediately. Some may crack the marble in ways that seem like mistakes. But the sculptor doesn't despair. They adapt, learning from the imperfections and working with them to create something extraordinary. This is how the Stoics viewed failure. It's not an obstacle to avoid, it's a teacher to embrace. Marcus Aurelius captured this idea perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. What does this mean? It means that failure isn't just something to tolerate, it's a critical part of growth. The challenges and setbacks we face are not barriers, they are the very tools we use to improve ourselves. Take Thomas Edison, for example. When asked about the thousands of failed experiments he endured while inventing the light bulb, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This mindset aligns perfectly with Stoic philosophy. Each failure was a lesson, a step closer to success. But how do we apply this in our lives? First, we must stop seeing failure as a personal judgment. It's not about who you are, it's about what you're learning. When you fail a test, lose a job, or face rejection, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I adapt my process? Failure becomes bearable, even meaningful, when it's viewed as a necessary part of the journey. And here's the key: when you focus on the process, failure loses its power to crush you. Why? Because success is no longer defined by the outcome, but by your effort, your growth, and your resilience. This shift in mindset turns failure from an end into a beginning, from something to fear into something to value. The arrow may miss the target, but if your aim improves with each shot, then failure has served its purpose. Section 9. Gratitude for the journey. When was the last time you paused to truly appreciate the act of doing something? Not finishing it, not achieving it, but simply doing it. In a results-driven world, we often forget that the journey itself is worth celebrating. Gratitude for the process is one of the most transformative lessons Stoicism offers. The Stoics believe that life is made up of countless opportunities to practice virtue, courage, patience, kindness, discipline. Each day, each moment is a chance to refine these qualities. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life." This isn't about rushing or panicking. It's about appreciating the present moment, the process itself, as an irreplaceable gift. Think about it. Every time you engage in the process, you're growing. When you're working on a project, it's not just about completing it. It's about the focus, creativity, and effort you bring to each step. When you're learning a new skill, it's not just about mastering it. It's about the joy of discovery, the challenge of improvement. Gratitude for the journey requires us to shift our perspective. Instead of seeing effort as a means to an end, we see it as an end in itself. Consider a marathon runner. The goal might be to cross the finish line, but the real reward is in the miles they run, the discipline they build, the resilience they cultivate. The finish line is fleeting. The process is what stays with them. In our daily lives, this gratitude can take many forms. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of focusing on the frustration of being late, can you appreciate the chance to practice patience? When you're working on a challenging task, instead of obsessing over whether you'll succeed, can you be grateful for the opportunity to grow? The Stoics also remind us that everything is impermanent. The journey we're on won't last forever. The relationships we cherish, the work we do, the challenges we face, none of these are guaranteed to be here tomorrow. Gratitude for the process is a way of honoring the fleeting nature of life. It's saying, I'm thankful for this moment, not because it's perfect, but because it's mine to experience. And here's the beauty of it. When you cultivate gratitude for the journey, you'll find that the results matter less and less. The joy, the meaning, the fulfillment, they're already here, woven into every step you take. The process, when embraced with gratitude, becomes a source of peace, purpose, and even joy. You've heard the words, you've seen the path. Now it's time to take action. Everything you've ever been told about success is leading you down a dead-end road. The results you chase, be it wealth, recognition, or fame, are elusive and fragile. They are not yours to control. But the process, the work, the daily effort, that is yours. Let go of the outcomes. They are out of your hands. But the way you show up every single day, how you approach the challenges, the discipline you build, that is your power. In the end, it's not the promotion or the medal or the praise that defines you. It's the person you become in the process. So, I challenge you right now at this very moment, stop living for the finish line. Stop measuring your worth by external validation. Focus on the process. Master the journey. Because it is in the process, not the results, that you'll find true fulfillment. Take this philosophy and live it. Let it transform you. The path to peace, purpose, and true success begins when you embrace the journey. And that starts now. Focus on the process, and the results will follow. Now watch this video on how to change your life in 30 days. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone that you feel needs to hear this. Thank you for watching, and remember to be stoic always.